What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Unplugged with Tyler Winters and John Pearman. I'm Tyler Winters. John Pearman is here. John, let's go ahead and get started. I thought it would be appropriate to ask the question, is blink-182 going to release a live album? And I asked this because, one, Blink's been doing a ton of touring since the reunion, since the release of the One More Time album.
Like the second round of touring, really.
Yeah, and I think this tour is going, if I could be wrong, but I think it's going up through the summer of 2025, maybe, or maybe it's going to the end of 2024. Somewhere in 2025, I think they're going to be taking a break. But I'm wondering, John, if they're coming out with a live album because Mark, just like a couple weeks ago, he was just on his Instagram, just shared what seemed to be a live recording of Going Away to College. And it was good quality. So clearly it was pretty much ready for a possible album. It would make sense that they ride this train of, the reunion, especially if they're going to be taking time off in 2025. It just makes all the sense, right? And they've been recording all these shows along the way. I feel like it's so easy to do that nowadays.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? Because you heard the Going Away to College
track,
I mean,
it
right?
seems like everything is really soundboard oriented now, so it's really easy to just, go through and, let's find the best version of Carousel. Let's find, and piecemeal it together and, do a live album of, best take of each song.
Yeah. So they're recording every night. So yeah, take the best rendition. I will say on the Going Away to College song that Mark shared on his Instagram, and I'm okay with it, but I don't know if you caught it either. But so Tom's playing that nice little clean part at the beginning, and then right before he comes in with the distorted part, where the distortion kicks on for the guitar, there's a little pause, so it almost sounds like a little mess up. And it got me wondering, because obviously that's probably not the final live track that they're going to put out on the album. I feel like they would clean that part up because we talk a lot about, or at least on a past episode, we talk about those inconsistencies or those imperfections on songs from way back in the day on records that weren't live. They were recorded in the studio, but it's those imperfections that really kind of that add a little character to the song, a little more feeling to the song and whatnot. I would say though that little hiccup in that Going Away to College clip is not necessarily good. So it made me think that maybe they will take that back to the studio, clean it up. So it made me wonder, do you think, or made me want to ask this question, do you think that if they do release a live album, which it does seem like they're going to, I'm just going to say they're going to. We don't have any inside knowledge. But,
bold predictions. But
do you think they will take this live album back to the studio and maybe not heavily, but
I think they might
touch it up quite a bit like they did with the Mark, Tom, and Travis show?
Yeah, I mean, they might sweeten it a little bit. I don't think they'll need to as much as they did Mark, Tom, and Travis show, just because the technology is so different now.
Yeah, I agree. Because from what I understand,
the way they're performing, it's a little bit more uniform than it probably was.
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago. So
yeah, agreed. And guys, just for the record, I'll put the Going Away to College clip in the show notes if you want to check that out. But it's my understanding for the Mark, Tom, and Travis show, they pretty much took all those live recordings back into the studio, and I heard that Mark and Tom at least re-recorded some of their parts.
Sure.
So it's not really live per se.
They were notoriously sloppy sometimes, so
absolutely,
it stands to reason.
And back then, you would think that they were worse at their instruments than they are now. So just because more time, as time goes on, you get better. But and
they were still a relatively new band with Travis too. So
exactly,
there's that element too.
So yeah, I think it makes sense to release a live album. I bet it'll come next year. Gosh, I almost want to say, I want to say, and don't quote me on this, guys, but I feel like Mark even teased something that it could be coming later this year, or something could be coming later this year. Maybe a deluxe album, because they have been playing new songs live too. I wanted to mention that. What was the live song that they were playing? Do you remember? It's like "Can't Get You Back" or something like that.
Something to that effect. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm trying to go back through you and I's text thread here.
And then they were doing Plus 44 and Boxcar songs also.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Which is really cool. So that would be really neat if those ended up on a live album. That would be super smart, dude. If they did that. I mean, everybody's been wanting them to play Plus 44 and Boxcar Racer songs and that sort of thing. So that would entice people to, get those songs. And speaking of live albums, guys, I found out through some articles on the web that there are bootlegs out there. You guys remember bootlegs? John, you remember that one Green Day bootleg you copped way long ago?
Oh, yeah, I got that when I was a kid, yeah.
I mean, that was awesome. John copped
it was pre-Dookie Green Day.
Yeah. And it wasn't the best quality, but it was pretty good considering fan shot footage and bootlegs back in the day, man. They were great. And apparently they may be alive and well on Spotify. So if you just type in Blink-182 live, okay, into Spotify and then go to the podcast and shows tab, there is a One More Time tour show on there, and it's totally like fan audio captured. So, but it's not bad. It sounds like a bootleg. So you guys should go check that out and maybe type in some other bands that you might be looking for. You could do like Blink-182 live, Green Day live maybe, or something. So basically what's happening is people are getting away with putting bootlegs or unreleased tracks on Spotify by listing them as a podcast, because Spotify doesn't have a way to really, scrape podcasts and look for unreleased tracks or live audio tracks and that sort of thing. It's not that easy. But apparently Taylor Swift has some live bootlegs on there too. So if you're a Spotify user, go have some fun and try to check out some bootlegs. So
yeah, I think I found it.
The Blink one?
No, the Green Day one.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, I just found it.
The one that you had? No way.
Pretty sure.
Share your screen.
Hold on, I'm sharing it. Yeah, it's all cleaned up too. It's a lot better than the VHS tape I used to have.
Hell yes.
Pretty sure. Judging, the lighting looks right.
I could be wrong, but I felt like the angle was maybe up and panned down a little bit, but
I feel like this is it though, because at some point he like climbs on shit.
Oh, is this the whole show?
Yeah, it's the whole show.
I remember we watched it a lot. You're trying to find him climbing on stuff. I feel like he had shorter hair. I could be wrong though.
Might have just been right around the same time because the hair looks right.
You think the hair looks right? I thought he had shorter hair. You know what album I've been listening to this weekend? Nimrod.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to it all the way through. Dude, that's in my top 5 favorite albums of all time. And I think that, I don't know what I said for what I think my favorite Green Day album is, but it's Nimrod. Whatever I said before, I don't remember, but it's Nimrod.
Yeah, Nimrod's very solid all the way through.
I can't believe that was released in 97, because I feel like you, me, and Ryan were all about it when we were in a band in like 2000. Like, did it just...
Well, did
that one have a hard, like,
we
take a while?
We loved Warning that much, so...
Yeah, maybe. But we liked Warning, because we liked Church on Sunday, we liked Minority, we liked... Yeah. I liked Macy's Day Parade. Like, I liked a lot of that record.
Yeah, it was just... I think we just enjoyed Nimrod a lot.
Maybe. Or did it get a slow rise? Like, did it not catch on for a year or so?
It was big when it was out. Okay. I think we just... I think we learned, a song from it, so...
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it... I don't know, because I felt like I got into the genre more so in 2000. And I remember listening to Nimrod a lot, but it came out in 97. I was only 11 at that time, which is
that was the only Green Day we had for a while, though. So
that's very true. Maybe that's it, because Shenanigans came out in 2002.
Yeah, it came out after Warning, so.
Yeah, and Warning was in 2000, I think.
Yeah, and we went to see him.
Maybe.
We went to see him right after Warning came out, so.
That's right.
Stands to reason we were probably digging back in the catalog, so.
Yeah. All right, John. So before we move on, you would suspect that a Blink live album's on the way, right? I mean, right?
I think it's a good idea.
It makes all the sense in the world.
Cool if it is.
Absolutely.
Nice.
I would love to have that on vinyl, by the way. That would be one that I definitely would need to have in the collection.
Yeah.
So speaking of Blink, there was something else I came across, and I wanted us to give our takes on it because it was kind of weird. So this Redditor was at a Blink show in Denver, and he or she was basically upset because people didn't stand for the Blink portion of the show. So let me read what they said. So I just read a comment and it just made me laugh. But it says, awesome show in Denver, but that's the title. And he goes on to say, last night's show in Denver was phenomenal. This show is the best I've ever seen these guys play live since 2009. However, I was a bit disappointed in my section. I was up in the top back left of the stage with all the what I thought were true fans, but when the boys came up on stage, I shot up onto my feet with a whole other one person. Mm-hmm. My wife. What the fuck? Everybody was on their ass through the entire show. I don't get it. However, shout out to the gentleman in the Angels and Airwaves shirt. You rocked it out. Tried your best to get the lazies onto their feet. I salute you. So this dude's upset that he's in... What did he say? He was up in the top back left of the stage with all of what he thought were the true fans, and he's upset that when the boys came on stage, no one stood up from their seats, just him and one other person, his wife. So before we read comments of what people said, John, what are your thoughts on this? Does this warrant anything? Like a complaint? What do you think?
I mean, somebody's bought seats. If they want to sit, just sit.
I know, right?
And if somebody's not wanting to stand up, then you're going to stand up in front of them? Like, I don't... Like, if you want to stand the whole time, go down to GA.
I almost feel like... And I don't really care either way. If somebody was standing in front of me... Like, if I paid for seats and I'm sitting down and you, sir, are standing in front of me the whole time, I'm going to be a little bit pissed. But... I might stand then, but like to make people feel like they should stand or be upset that other people didn't stand seems a little odd to me. Yeah. Like, calm down, sir.
Yeah, you're in seats. Just sit.
Yeah, that's how I feel. You bought seats. Sit down, and you're in the top.
You're not side stage or something where you're in everybody's field of view or something.
Right.
If you're like side stage, you want to stand and feel like you're part of the show, but you're in the back. Just shut up.
I actually feel like everybody in his section, because they are in the top left of the stage, they're up high. I almost think he's the asshole, to be honest, because
if he's blocking people.
Yeah, if he's blocking people, it's like, dude, sit down. Like. We picked these seats way up here, one, because they're really affordable, and plus, maybe we don't want to stand. Like, we bought these tickets because we don't want to stand.
Sometimes it's parents that brought their kids to do the general admission thing, too.
Yeah.
You just get a seat so you can sit and not be right up on the speakers and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
He just needs to calm down.
Yeah, I think he needs to calm down. I'm kind of indifferent about it. Like, I can see both points, but one person says there was one guy next to me who just stood completely still, arms folded for the entire show, except when they played Obvious. This dude shot to life and was bouncing around singing, and after that song, went back to arms folded for the remainder of the show. I guess that song really speaks to him. Somebody says, I didn't realize the top back left was where all the true fans sat. Anyways, you know what you should have done to all those fans who were sitting down? You should have kicked them right in the back. No. I liked your first sentence there, but no. Can't forget that the potential age range for a Blink-182 fan is massive. Some of these folks are pushing late 40s. However,
you stand up for an hour and a half, see how you feel. Yeah.
Exactly. I wonder how old this guy is. However, you won't catch my young ass sitting for a single song or not screaming every lyric no matter what section I'm in. More power to you. But also be respectful of the people around you, right? It's not just your experience, it's everybody else's too. Yeah, oh, somebody says Mark is 52, so I think you are underestimating the age range of fans. That's true. Some could be pushing 60, he says. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let people enjoy things how they want. Blink also has a bit of an older fan base. Just because someone isn't carrying on doesn't mean they're not having the time of their lives. Very true. I'm not going to be standing for an entire Blink show, and they're one of my favorite all-time bands. I'm just not. But I'm going to be loving the live sounds, sitting there with my arms crossed and sipping on a beer or a Coke or whatever.
Yeah.
I think this dude just needs to kind of chill out. Saw them in Miami, went to stand up with my friends, and the people behind us asked us to sit down. We did it again when What's My Age Again came on. They threatened. Moral of the story, we should have spent more to sit lower. There you go. There's a little realization.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. The people shouldn't have threatened them that wanted them to sit down, but hey.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if you can't see, then you need to stand. Like if people are in front of you or standing, then you have to stand, and then it's kind of a chain reaction. That's fine, but
yeah.
Don't be the reason that other people have to stand if they don't want to.
Exactly. And that's funny that you said chain reaction, because the comment right under the one I just read, I'm wondering if your seat is in the very front row of the section and you stand up, will everyone else stand up, causing a chain reaction?
Mm-hmm.
It probably would. Usually just standing in general, I think, does cause a chain reaction, especially for like younger people, because who don't go to concerts often. They don't maybe know what to do at a concert. They see other people standing, you stand. I get that. But yeah, I think overall the guy needs to calm down. Let people, like the Redditor said, let the people enjoy the show how they want to enjoy the show, and don't be an asshole. And if you are asked to sit down, I don't think you should be standing the entire show. Not saying he was blocking anybody, but if somebody asks you to sit down because you've stood for a long time, sit your ass down.
Bitch.
If you're in seats.
Bitch.
All right, John, I got another thing I want to ask you, because I came across this question on Reddit. And the question is, what was the first pop punk or alternative music song that captivated you and made you fall in love with the genre? I thought you and I could share ours. Well, I want to hear it, but not yet. Thought we could share ours and maybe kind of run through some of the comments and see what other people said. So this person asks, in my case, I live in a small country in Central America, and for a long time, my family only listened to Christian music. Ugh. But then, during the credits of a movie, I discovered the song Good Life by Amber Pacific. From that moment, I fell completely in love with the genre. Even though the song might not directly belong to pop punk, if it hadn't been for this song, it would have taken me much longer to discover these amazing music genres. So I'd like to know what similar experiences you've had with this genre. I think we could just go ahead and answer for ourselves. John, what is it that made you fall in love with the pop punk scene?
Oh, it would have been Self-Esteem by Offspring.
Offspring, okay. Yeah. That was on the Smash album, right?
Yeah,
which
so 93, 94.
And that was your first album CD, right?
First CD purchase, yeah.
I remember that. I feel like you introduced me to the Offspring with that album. And I remember Bad Habit was on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I love that song because of all the cussing.
Yeah, it had that slew of curse words.
Yeah, and when you're a kid, I don't know how old we were, 93? When did you bring that over?
8 or 9. So
we were 8 or 9 listening to that song. That was a big deal.
I got the album before it on cassette, Ignition.
Oh, yeah.
That too. And then I found my way to Green Day after that. So
yeah, you definitely influenced me a lot when it came to music. So
you're welcome.
You gave me the Offspring, Green Day, and Beastie Boys. I remember we did that a lot of Beastie Boys.
After that I had a Beatles phase. So my Beatles phase was like 95.
Yep. For me, you introduced me to the Offspring, Green Day, and the Beastie Boys at a young age. But I feel like it wasn't... And I always liked that sort of music, alternative music, for whatever reason. I remember discovering for myself Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit my sister had that on cassette, and I loved that song. I just don't know when I fell in love with that. I was probably like 12, maybe. But for me, when I actually, if we're talking pop punk, I remember, and I may have said this on the podcast before, but I remember, John, I was at your house, and we were having a sleepover or whatever at your house, and I know we were up late, and I remember we must have been watching MTV in your living room, and I remember leaving the living room at one point, and blink-182 came on. What's My Age Again was playing. It was the first time I saw What's My Age Again, and I think it just hit at the right time. The visuals in there, the guys running around naked, it was hilarious. It was ridiculous. Janine in the video, she was very pretty. Obviously at 13, 14, that helps.
There hadn't been a band like that in a long time to me, for me anyway, that like you could kind of, like you wanted to be like. Exactly.
And it's like they encompass like our humor, and and we were at that ripe age of when you're kind of turning and kind of I don't know if finding yourself is the right word, but
yeah. Well, I mean, when you saw them, you're like, oh, we could do that,
right? Yeah,
that was how my mindset was. Like, oh, we could be in a band like that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it was that. I know it was that song in particular that I was like, okay, I like this sound. And then, of course, bought the album, and the rest is history. And then you kind of go down, I remember, record label rabbit holes, and then you start finding bands, and you find Drive-Thru Records, and then this,
Yeah, I remember
the rest is history.
The influence of the cassette tape they put out, the Urethra Chronicles, was like, you would use that to like try to find bands.
Yep. The VHS tape, Urethra Chronicles. Yeah. Oh man, I remember playing that constantly.
Because they would like list off their favorite bands, and you're like, oh, who's NoFX? And then kind of dig into NoFX.
That was the thing, man. Like if they wore a T-shirt, if they mentioned it in an interview, like that's how you would go out and find the bands. I really miss that time, dude. That was the time.
I mean, the Atticus compilations, and the Drive-Thru compilations and things like that.
I mean, that's how we all, like, people our age found our favorite bands. And, those are the bands that ended up, shaping a lot of our lives, our, younger teen, early 20s lives. So, man. But, yeah, for me, What's My Age Again? And then, so for you is Self-Esteem. Did you find the Self-Esteem song on, like, MTV?
On MTV, yeah. Okay. Probably MTV.
I feel like that one...
I remember, I had knowledge of Nirvana and stuff before that, sure, because my brother was of an age where he would have been watching MTV at that time, and then I had seen Stone Temple Pilots before that, so I mean that's a different kind of alternative music, but I was aware of like Stone Temple Pilots and Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins already. It just I wasn't at the right age for it to where I was like, oh, I want to seek that out. Like I knew the songs and stuff, but
I want to say we were probably I want to say 11 and 12, but no, we're probably younger than that, right? When Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins, like maybe like 9 or 10.
I mean, I would have been 6 or 6 or 7 when Teen Spirit came out. So.
Oh my God. Yeah, because that was what, 92, 93?
Yeah, never mind. Kind of hit in late 91, early 92. So
I don't think I like came across that song until like a few years later or something. But yeah, it's crazy to kind of think back. And for music, it's like you think back and it's always usually like 12, 13, 14, like you find what you like right then and there, and that's kind of what carries you for the rest of your life, for the most part. I'm curious to know what other people say here, so let's just go through.
These are going to make you feel old.
I know. Somebody says, oh man, that's a thinker, but I want to say Goldfinger's Superman. That's a good song.
I would imagine like Tony Hawk was a gateway for a lot of people into that style of music.
Absolutely.
I saw not to get off track, but I saw an interesting post, like it was saying how American Pie was this like movie with a really good pop punk soundtrack. Like what was the horror equivalent to American Pie? Like what horror movie had a great like pop punk soundtrack? And I feel like I hit the nail on the head with Idle Hands, but
Idle Hands. What was on that soundtrack? I'm gonna pull it up.
Well, I know Offspring actually plays in the movie, so you've got that, and then Tom's in the movie also. from Blink, I think. So
really? Okay,
yeah, so I think it has like a pop punky kind of soundtrack.
Okay, so here are the songs. So you got, well, I'll name the ones that. So there's Blood Clot by Rancid. There's Shout at the Devil, Motley Crue. One of your favorite bands, Sublime, with Santeria.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Rob Halford has a song.
Yeah,
Rob Zombie,
bit of metal.
Ace Frehley from Kiss has a song. Ramones, The Offspring, Beheaded. Oh, Unwritten Law's on there. And The Living End. You remember The Living End. And then Static X. So yeah, a little harder than pop punk, but Ramones and The Offspring are on there for sure, representing. Oh, also Two Live Crew apparently with Pop That Coochie's on there.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Two Live Crew. I don't know what else would be a horror equivalent. That's a good question. But yeah, American Pie for sure. Great soundtrack, I want to say. Let's see.
Yeah, American Pie 2 also had a good soundtrack.
So, American Pie soundtrack. Flagpole Sitta by Harvey Danger. Celebrity Skin by Hole. Blink-182's Mutt, which is just amazing that Mutt made it on there. What else? Everclear with Everything to Everyone. Third Eye Blind's on there.
Goldfinger.
Oh, Every Time I Look for You by Blink's on there too. Oh, that's American Pie 2.
Yeah, that's a good one also. You got some Sum 41 on there too.
Yep. Offspring again. Want You Bad, maybe. Ooh, you remember American Wedding? That had some Foo Fighters, Good Charlotte, Newfound Glory, Sum 41, All American Rejects, American Hi-Fi, Sugar Cult. Holy cow. Now that's a pop punk soundtrack.
I mean, you got Phoenix TX on American Pie 2, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hell
one of the guys
yeah.
from Phoenix TX just passed away.
Yeah.
Bass player.
I heard that the original lead singer's not doing too well either.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Green Day's on American Pie 2. Alien Ant Farm, Three Doors Down. Phoenix TX with Phoebe Cates. Sum 41. And Oleander made the list. I like Oleander. Like one of their songs. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, guys, I'd love to hear what song, like, what pop punk or alternative rock song, like, captivated you and made you fall in love with the pop punk scene or alternative rock scene. Tell your story. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Let us know on the socials.
Make us feel old.
Yeah. Let us all just take a trip down memory lane. It's okay. I kind of like to.
I mean, I wish I would have known of all the 80s, like, alternative stuff, but, it just didn't really resonate with me until later.
Oh, you mean back then when you were younger, or?
I mean, just even, like, finding it in the 90s or something. Like,
Sure.
it's really my brother's fault for not listening to cooler stuff in the early 90s.
Yeah, how I grew up, dude, I feel like we had all kinds of freaking music playing.
Yeah.
Like, my mom liked the pop stuff. She liked the oldies. My sister liked the R&B, pop, and alternative rock. She played, like, literally everything. So I could have gone any direction, really. If it weren't for you.
I feel like people that are like my brother's age and your sister's age have really good taste because there's such good stuff happening at that time.
Yeah.
Cross genre.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of crazy to think. Yeah, I think they grew up in a great time for music, especially because they grew up kind of in the heart of the grunge era rise. But then we had the pop punk rise in the early aughts, and there really hasn't been much, at least that I've seen. Of course, we're older, so maybe we just don't see it as much, or pay attention to it as much. But I don't think there's been anything relatively close to those times, like, since. I wonder if we were like the last, generation to kind of, so far, to experience some musical revolution. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but musical shift, I guess.
I mean, I think they're just smaller.
Yeah, but nothing that compares to, like, the pop punk rise in, you say 99 to 2008, maybe. But I don't know. maybe it's out there. Like maybe we're just kind of out of touch as we've grown older, because that's just kind of the normal thing that happens.
Well, people aren't being told what to listen to as much either, so
that's true.
Find their own way.
Yeah, it's easier to do nowadays to find your own way with
but I mean, I think
amount of streaming.
A lot of the kids that find it now are influenced by what their parents show them on some level. So yeah,
you think but even with like the TikTok and all that, I feel like that's where people are being influenced the most nowadays.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's going to do it for this episode. Unless, John, you got anything else to add?
I don't.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close her out then. So, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you always for tuning in. We really do appreciate it, guys. And if you could, do us a solid and rate us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Apparently, I heard you can leave comments on Spotify now, so go ahead and try that and see if we get notified. Also, in the show notes, you can text us now. I've been meaning to say this for a while. You won't get a text back because there's no way for us to text you back, but you can ask us a question. There's a link in the show notes to text us. Text us a question. Text us, accolades. Give us props. Give us kudos. Whatever. Let us know. We want to hear from you. And if you ask a question, we'll definitely answer it on the podcast. So, yeah, keep in touch, guys. We love you. We're out. Peace.